When I was younger, around 12 years old, I stumbled upon YouTube videos that claimed to teach me how to become wealthy in my youth. But the reality is that most of these videos were only instructing me not to spend $5 on a Starbucks coffee, and to save up those $5 and invest them in the stock market. Year after year, they said my money would compound, and according to those guys on the internet, I would retire with millions in the bank. Yes. In reality, this kind of advice never made any sense to me. The whole reason I got started in the online business space was so that I would never have to worry about the price of a cup of coffee. And it's probably the same thing for you. Not so that I could spend my entire life having to save every dollar, every penny, and maybe one day retire with millions in the bank. I can tell you that every single billionaire would happily trade at least 80% of their wealth to have a body that's like 20 or 25 or even 30 years old. Time is a lot more precious than money. We can get as much money as we want technically. There's no limit, but we don't know how to live up to 400 years old yet. And would it even be desirable? When you're running out of time, you're running out of time, no matter what your bank balance says. So I'm not going to shame you for wanting to buy a $5 Starbucks coffee in this video. You want to enjoy life without having to worry about your finances, and you're damn right. I'm in my early 20s, so I'll be sharing with you the 7 worst purchase mistakes that I avoid making to build wealth. And the first mistake is to invest in stock options, in cryptocurrency, or in other speculative bubbles. Yes, some people are going to make a lot of money by investing in cryptocurrency or in the stock market, but what you need to understand is that this is not the norm. This is only a small percentage of people. The online marketers that want to sell you investing in crypto or in the stock market are trying to turn the exception into the norm, because the norm is to lose most, if not all, of your hard-earned money when you invest. Lately, we heard a lot of things about the cryptocurrency world online, and by no means am I saying that crypto is a scam or that you can't actually build gigantic wealth using it. What I am saying, on the other hand, is that if you are a complete beginner in the business world, you want to invest your money into building a cash flow producing business, such as a social media marketing agency or a consulting agency, instead of making bets and investing your cash into things that you don't necessarily understand. Contrary to what people tell you online, investing in real estate or in the stock market, it's a full-time job. And you also have to understand that even veteran entrepreneurs who've got lots of years of experience behind them, sometimes they too lose really big. It doesn't happen to only newbies. They're human, so they're inevitably going to make mistakes at one point or another. Now, the other purchase mistake that you should probably avoid making in your 20s if your goal is to build wealth is to buy a fancy car. Now, I love cars, but I don't own one. Cars are technically a financial liability, in the sense that when you go to the dealership and you become the proud owner of a new Audi or Mercedes, that car, when you sign the lease, it's automatically lost value. In some scenarios, however, it makes sense to buy fancy cars. For instance, if you have a personal branding in the online marketing space, a fancy car can be a really powerful marketing asset. Because as much as lots of people love to criticize popular online marketers that are very successful, some people have conducted experiments, and it turns out that when people were sold a dream, like a lifestyle, fancy cars, or life of freedom, people actually paid attention and invested in their own education and knowledge to start their company. But when it came to actually paying attention to in-depth training as to how to build a company, most people just didn't listen and didn't really care, and therefore they didn't invest into learning how to build a profitable business for themselves. Another scenario where it would make sense to buy fancy cars is if you start a luxury car rental service. In that case, the cars would not be a financial liability, because they're actively bringing in new income and new profit every single month for your company. The other thing that I don't personally purchase, and that would probably be a really good idea avoiding, especially if you're in your early 20s like me and you too want to focus on building a better future for yourself, are designer clothes. I personally don't really like designer clothes, so that's why I don't own any, and I prefer to invest most of my money into my education or my business. If designer clothes are really your thing, then go ahead, buy them. But if I'm being honest here, would you rather be rich or look rich? And yes, you can have both. Not every single person wearing Gucci is quote-unquote pretending to be rich necessarily. It's completely fine to treat yourself from time to time. But if your main focus at the moment is to grow your business and your wealth, then the more money you can invest into your education and the growth of your business, the faster you will get to your desired destination. It's common sense that the more resources you have at your disposal to accomplish a specific goal, the faster you will reach your desired end goal, provided you use those resources wisely. Something else that you should probably think twice before you buy. It's cheap stuff in general. Wait, so you're telling me not to buy expensive stuff, but I also shouldn't buy cheap stuff? So which one is it? Usually the cheaper stuff is cheaper because it's lower quality. Now this isn't always the case, of course. Some products are way overpriced for what they are, and they provide little value compared to less expensive options. But a lot of the time, if you buy a $5 t-shirt for instance, it might be a cheap purchase in the moment, but because the quality of the fabric, of the material, it's not very high, it's not going to last a long time. So you'll end up having to buy more t-shirts more often, in the end making you spend more money when you could have just bought a t-shirt that's a bit on the more expensive side, like 20 to 40 bucks, but at least you buy a couple of those and they last for years. Buying cheap stuff equals buying twice, or even more, a lot of the time. So whenever I'm making a buying decision, I'm taking into consideration the cost in the present moment, like is it cheap, medium price or expensive, but I'm also factoring the long-term cost in my decision-making process. The other thing that you should stay away from in your 20s as you're trying to build wealth is sports betting. Now I know that a small percentage of people manage to become really successful at it and generate a nice income for themselves, but the truth is that most people, like the statistics show, are losing money on sports betting, not getting richer. It's very similar to investing in the stock market or in cryptocurrency, in the sense that some people are going to be able to hit the jackpot and get rich with it, but most will lose all the money that they invested to begin with. I personally never really understood why people buy lottery tickets, because your chances of winning the lottery are 1 in 300 million, which is very funny because considering the fact that when you start a business, people seem to somehow love to rub in your face the famous statistic that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Yet they would be willing to take a 1 out of 300 million chance to get rich. How crazy is that? Some people really take sports betting to the extreme. They pour all of their hard-earned cash into it. They're basically addicts, and some even end up in really bad financial situations where they have to declare bankruptcy and they lose absolutely everything. So bottom line, I stay away from sports betting because I'd probably have no clue what I'm doing if I invested in this, as I've done no research on the subject except for making this video and the things I'm telling you right now, and so I'd probably just lose all of my money. Instead, I invest into building online businesses that are specifically designed to bring in a lot of positive cash flow quickly, so that they're very profitable early on, not years down the road. If you'd like to know how you can start an online business or grow your business from the comfort of your own home with just a laptop and a stable internet connection, I'll put up a card with a playlist that shows you how you can do that, or you can check out the link in the description below. Now the thing that I've never bought, and I don't really plan on buying this ever, it's bottle service in clubs. Bottle service prices can be anywhere from $300 for small clubs up to $7,500 and even beyond for bigger, more high-end clubs. And I get it, some people really love the nightlife and going out to party, and while it can potentially make you feel great for an hour or two to pay a bottle for the whole table and to just throw away a bunch of money, if in comparison you poured all of that money into your business, it would grow that much quickly. And by the way, the 7 purchase mistakes that I'm listing in this video, I'm not saying you should never buy any of those things. By any means, buy what you like, do what you like, it's your life at the end of the day. And if you're always feeling like you're restricting yourself and you're never enjoying life, well, what's the point? But if it's your goal to build a lot of wealth and to be able to enjoy it while you're still young, because being a millionaire or being wealthy, you'll agree with me that it's nice no matter how old you are. But would you rather be a millionaire at 30 years old, at 25 years old, or at 60 years old, provided you even reach that 60 years old mark? So what I decide to do is to sacrifice a bit of my youth so that my future can be a lot better than most people will ever have. And if you're watching this channel, you're probably in the same mindset too. Lots of guys also seem to think that if they buy bottle service, lots of girls will flock to their table and be interested in them. A lot of the time, yeah, girls will come to your table, but they're just interested in the drink, not in you. Some guys are going clubbing every week and throwing hundreds of dollars on bottle service, when in reality that money would be better spent if they instead invested it into building businesses or assets that will grow their net worth and liquid assets. Now this last mistake purchase is one that I've seen a gigantic amount of people make over the years. Buying the latest phone when it's released. I personally have the same phone that I bought years ago. It's a simple one. Doesn't cost a lot of money really, because if anything, when you're building a business, a phone is a distraction, so most of the time it's just sitting in a drawer on airplane mode. And the only reason I bought a phone really is because it was getting too old, and anyway I threw a dumbbell on it in the middle of a workout. I know it's dumb, and so I needed another phone. Now you can have a great phone for like $100, and if your goal is to go into a sort of financial version of monk mode, which for the people that don't know what monk mode means, it's basically a term that became really popular recently on social media to describe an intense period of isolation and sacrifice and delaying gratification in order to achieve goals that will serve you long term, like getting in shape or building a business, improving your social skills, quitting bad habits. Then you can have a $100 phone, and instead of buying the new iPhone that comes out every year and that costs like $1,500, you can pour that money into growing your business and buy the phone later on when you're really financially secure. Now, some people may feel like this list is too restrictive and that if they don't buy some of those things or all of those things, they're going to feel like they're missing out on a part of life. But what those people don't seem to get is that the more you invest into your education and your business, the faster you'll get to a point where you can spend money freely without having to sweat at the price tag. If you do what no one else is willing to do, you will have access to what most people will never have access to in their lifetime. And while somebody over there is trying to build a business and wasting a lot of money on designer clothes, new phones and bottle service, there's another guy who's reinvesting everything back into his company. This guy is probably going to go a lot further, a lot faster than the first guy who spends his money carelessly. And in reality, the worst thing about phones, it's not even the price tag, it's the fact that it takes away your time. It's a distraction. So like I said earlier, it's not that you can't buy any of those things. By any means, go buy what you want. It's simply to show you how you can shift your priorities into building something that will serve you over the long haul. I personally decide to invest into building a great financial future for myself. But hey, you're free to do as you please. So tell me in the comments down below what things you're currently buying or you've bought in the past from this list of the 7 purchase mistakes that you should avoid in your 20s if you want to become very, very wealthy.